Welcome into the Legislative Lounge. I am your host, Natebige, with my co-host, Professor Mike. How are we doing today, Mike?
It's a beautiful, beautiful Monday. I'm tired.
Mm, yeah, definitely. I can feel that Monday's feeling coming in. Um,
I haven't
uh,
been asleep yet.
yeah, it's that'll do it. You know. But I know you work that graveyard shift. So
A grave shard gift.
yeah, the grade shard. Yeah, we gotta shard it up in here. So
Immigration is the topic today.
yeah, well, I mean, we're first gonna dive into. Mike obviously didn't see the thumbnail. Um, we're gonna dive into the trade situation as well. I'll give you guys an update on that because honestly, a lot of people have been going back and forth about everything going on with the tariff wars as they're calling it. Which I mean, in some parts, I guess I can understand the reasoning behind that label, but really only in regards to not even Canada. I was gonna say China.
China.
I can
China.
understand that, but when you take a look at everything in regards to the United States and how they operate around the world, nobody compares to our dollar in regards to buying power. We have such an influence and a stronghold on everybody's economic standing that if we removed ourselves from anybody's right anybody's exports, their system crumbles. In most cases, it completely disappears. The country folds.
100%. I mean, we make up 75% of Canada's GDP.
76.
Excuse me. Excuse me. I missed
76.4
1%.
to be exact. We like numbers over here. So
I missed. I missed 1.4%.
but I mean, yeah, so that's why I mean, what is it? The initial first 24 to 72 hours of the implementation of the tariff, just to kind of recap for everybody, there was 50 countries that immediately, I think it was actually the same day, within 24 hours, contacted the White House in regards to starting the negotiations. A week later, it was up to 70. And as of, was it Thursday? It was up to like 75, 80. And then by last night, the White House and the Treasury Secretary were reporting that over 130 different countries have contacted the White House in regards to starting a new trade deal. That includes our largest allies in Canada, Mexico, and there's conversations with even China now.
Mhm.
So,
What I think several countries we've already reached agreements for a 0 to 0.
not several. There was a couple of them like Vietnam, and crap, what was the other one? There was one other one. There was only like 3 or 4 of them that even came to the table with a 0 for 0. Most of them, and see, that's part of the issue. We talked about it on Saturday a little bit, is a lot of people are misunderstanding this whole 90-day stay and labeling it. Of course, the left is always looking to try and get a win, even though they're just absolutely desperate for that W. And saying that Donald Trump is just backing down. He's folding. He's folding. No, he's
No,
not.
it's
If
it's
you
not it's
actually
not folding, it's caving.
Yeah, oh, caving, folded, whatever. It's the same thing in my mind. But it's not understanding exactly what the Treasury Secretary said and what Caroline Levitt when that happened, like that afternoon. It was at like 1:15 Eastern time. They came out and explained everything because they were directly asked specifically about what exactly was being done in those tariff talks, and the exact verbiage that was used was that they're acting in good faith because these companies or I'm sorry, these countries have come to the negotiation table. We are going to put a stay on their reciprocal tariffs. Most of them will be around 10%, like Canada, but there it depends upon basically what their offer is essentially in the end.
100%. Um, and I just have to appreciate the transparency with this administration. Because last administration, I didn't know what the hell was going on.
Right. I mean, that's the one thing is like transparency is vital in these types of situations, but I mean, it seems like over the last 4 years they were just I don't know what was going on with Donald Trump or I mean, sorry, with Biden and everything in that situation, but I was trying to find the video of the actual conversation from Caroline Levitt, all that. I thought I had it. I did a video on it. So if you guys have me on TikTok, y'all can definitely go on my page, Natebige, just like it is here, and you can find it in there. But I'm so floored with how the mind of the left works. And this is why I've never like considered myself left. I am a conservative by nature, and that is not to be associated with being Republican. Yes, most Republicans are conservative, but not all of them are. Okay, so I just want to make sure that's clear because I don't associate myself with Republicans because I don't like a lot of them. Mike
I
knows.
am I am
Anybody,
Mike.
yeah, anybody that follows me or watches this podcast has heard me call several of them out. But how the left operates in their brain about how things are happening nowadays, it's beyond belief because they're in this motion of just trying to find Trump fail so bad so they can get their gotcha moment that they're failing to understand basic reading comprehension, honestly. I mean, it seems like at this point, like a lot of them. I mean, how many we were on lives earlier today, Mike, and you know this. And for everybody that's listening, we were doing some lives with I think it was two different people came up claiming that they were attorneys, and we were specifically talking about the whole immigration issue when it comes to the Mr. Garcia from Maryland. And it is astounding to me to not like these people. We could show them. We showed them the actual opinion of the 9-0 ruling from. I always pronounce her name right.
SCOTUS.
Sota Samoira. I can't.
Sotomayor?
For me, I can't ever pronounce it. What's her name?
Sotomayor.
Yeah, that shit. So she put out a 4-page opinion, right? We show them right in it that they think that this is a huge L for Donald Trump. And it's like it's really not. Because if you actually take a look at it, it rejected portions of the lower court saying, hey, y'all don't have the jurisdiction to do this. But, you know, when it comes to facilitating and effectuating the return of him, yeah, we're not going to do that. Now, we're going to keep it in place where the United States should facilitate it, but it puts it in the hands of El Salvador, right? And allows them to work with the United States. But it specifically says that when it comes to the negotiations of it, the United States government doesn't need to do jack. Meaning that if El Salvador doesn't want to return him, we ain't got to do shit. Which is
Yeah.
exactly what happened because El Salvador's president was at the White House today and they were talking about it.
Yeah. Yeah, for all you leftists out there that are saying Donald Trump is refusing the court's order to bring back Garcia, it's illegal to kidnap somebody in another country.
Right. I mean,
Just
it
just
would
saying.
like even if I know we kind of like moved into this when I wanted to stay on the tariffs for a minute, but I guess we can go back to it later since we're on this. And
You did
there was a
it.
meeting. Yeah, I know it's my fault. It's my fault. But there was a meeting today at the White House with the El Salvadorian president, right? And he was even questioned about it. Let's take a look. I sped it up a little bit so that way it's not so long for you guys. But let's take a look at it real quick. And because the media is live time trying to manipulate the story around it, saying that the 9-0 was against Trump. Listen to Stephen Miller, Donald Trump, and the president of El Salvador themselves.
Question also. Yes, gladly. So, as Pam mentioned, there's an illegal alien from El Salvador. So, with respect to you, he's a citizen of El Salvador. So, it's very arrogant even for American media to suggest that we would even tell El Salvador how to handle their own citizens as a starting point. As 2 immigration courts found that he was a member of MS-13. When President Trump declared MS-13 to be a foreign terrorist organization, that meant that he was no longer eligible under federal law, which I'm sure you know, you're very familiar with the INA, that he was no longer eligible for any form of immigration relief in the United States. So he had a deportation order that was valid, which meant that under our law, he's not even allowed to be present in the United States and had to be returned because of the foreign terrorist designation. This issue was then by a district court judge, completely inverted, and a district court judge tried to tell the administration that they had to kidnap a citizen of El Salvador and fly him back here. That issue was raised with the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said the district court order was unlawful, and its main components were reversed 9-0 unanimously, stating clearly that neither Secretary of State nor the President could be compelled by anybody to forcibly retrieve a citizen of El Salvador from El Salvador, who again is a member of MS-13, which, as I'm sure you understand, rapes little girls, murders women, murders children, is engaged in the most barbaric activities in the world, and I can promise you, if he was your neighbor, you would move right away.
So you don't plan
But
to
the
ask
Supreme
for
Court's asking
to...
to.
Is that
What's the ruling in the Supreme Court, Steve? Was it 9-0?
Yes, it's a 9-0
In our favor.
in our favor against the district court ruling, saying that no district court has the power to compel the foreign policy function of the United States. As Pam said, the ruling solely stated that if this individual, at El Salvador's sole discretion, was sent back to our country, that we could deport him a second time.
Well,
no version of this legally ends up with him ever living here, because he is a citizen of El Salvador. That is the president of El Salvador. Your questions about it, per the court, can only be directed to him.
I asked
Se lo liberaría, presidente.
And then this is where they actually do directly ask him, and listen to his response. It's kind of hard to hear at first, but pay attention.
Can President Bukele weigh in on this? Do you plan to return him?
Well, I'm supposed to suggest that that's smuggled terrorists into the United States, right?
For those that didn't hear what he said, what am I supposed to do? Smuggle a terrorist into the United States? Yeah, I'm not going to do that.
How can I return him to the United States? Like, I smuggle him into the United States, or what do I do? Of course, I'm not going to do it. It's like, I mean, the question is preposterous. How can I smuggle a terrorist into the United States? I don't have the power to return him to the United States. You can release him inside of Salvador. Yeah, but I'm not releasing. I mean, we're not very fond of releasing terrorists into our country. We just turned the murder capital of the world to the safest country in the Western Hemisphere, and you want us to go back into the releasing criminals so we can go back to being the murder capital of the world? And that's not going to happen.
Well, they'd love to have a criminal,
Yeah,
released into
I mean, there's a fascination.
They would love it.
Yeah.
They're sick. These are sick people. Nobody's watching.
Trump's statement at the end is just awesome. I was like, these are sick people. And to hear what he says after that would be great, but like, we don't need to go into it. But this is the president of El Salvador. Now, the ruling of the Supreme Court specifically says only that it eliminates the court ruling of itself from the lower court, saying that, yeah, they don't have to effectuate, which means that they have to actually negotiate, get the terms and all that, and make it's not saying that. It says that they must facilitate it if the El Salvadoran government wants to send him back. That's the president of El Salvador, and he just said right away, yeah, I ain't sending no terrorists back to America. I ain't even got the power to do that. And then it's like, well, what are you going to release him? Like, no, we just turned El Salvador, which, mind you, was the murder capital of the Western Hemisphere for the longest time, because their gang activity down there is rampant. MS-13, holy crap. But he's like, yeah, I ain't even going to release him into our population because, I mean, he's got affiliations with the gang, right? So I'm like, no, we ain't going to do that. I mean, what else are we supposed to say, guys? The Supreme Court ruling specifically says they don't have to effectuate it. Okay? They just got to facilitate if they want to send him back. You don't want to send him back. Case closed. We're done. And people are like, well, he shouldn't have been removed in the first place. Well, if you actually listen to what Stephen Miller said, who is the deputy chief of staff there, he specifically indicated that this man was ruled as a gang member in a 2019 immigration hearing, right? So here it is. Here's the court case itself. And in it, you can see this is in regards to him, Baltimore, Maryland. It's Kelmer. I don't know how to pronounce his last part. It's a hyphenated one, but we've just been calling him Kilmer Garcia. That's what he's been going by. So we're going to go with that. But if you actually read through this and specifically go to page 2 and onto page 3, it says right here, regardless of the determination that the respondent is Garcia, just so that you're aware, is a gang member and appears to be trustworthy is a gang member appears to be trustworthy. So what it's saying is that the information that they received is the fact they believe that it's trustworthy information and is supported by other evidence in the record, namely information from gang field interview sheets. Right there in black and white, guys. And because he was deemed as a gang member through MS-13, and MS-13 being named a foreign terrorist organization by Donald Trump by executive order, which is his power to do so under the Illegal Aliens Act, right? Foreign Illegal Aliens Act, and something. There was another one that they talked about too, can't remember when is gang related and somebody that is outside the country that may be listed as an individual that is a part of a terrorist organization, that under those laws, it is permissible to have them removed immediately without any due process as they're claiming.
100%. And it goes into like actually reading and comprehending the United States Constitution, because the due process that's involved in an immigration court is a confirmation of information that's gathered by DHS to present to the immigration judge.
Right. So,
Like,
and I mean, going back to our original thought, though, like it's the fact that the left, liberals, Democrats, whatever they want to lay themselves, because supposedly those are 3 different definitions in their minds. I mean, but they just can't read. They refuse to read. And every time me and Mike, or any of the people that we roll with, try to get a a real genuine conversation going where somebody can show and articulate evidence, they always point to news articles from CNN, MSNBC, and they even try to use Fox to like come at us like we give a shit what Fox says. Because I
yeah,
mean, Fox is owned by the same people as I mean, they're controlled opposition. We don't give a shit what Fox says.
I had a first year law student that I was debating, and this woman absolutely lost her mind because, as you know, Nate, you've been in my house. I keep a Black's Law dictionary right on my
Mhm.
desk, just in case I need to look up a word or something,
Right.
or I need to prove a point, because words have meanings and meanings are important, especially when it comes to legalese.
Right.
The fact that these quote unquote lawyers and attorneys claim to know law but utilize news articles as sources is astounding, and it's the reason why our entire justice system is corrupt and just falling apart.
Mhm. Absolutely. And that tends to lean into other areas of like when it comes to the whole trade situation, going back to the original topic. Yeah, and you have people out here reading things like Oxford Dictionary rather than legal terms, which is what it has to do with, on tariffs. And that's why you have this notion of people running around, "Oh, it's a tax on the people."
No,
No,
like,
Mike, what is it?
it's a duty.
It's a
It's
duty.
a duty, and people will say, "Oh, that's just another word for tax." No, these are specific definitions. That's why in Article 1, Section 8, it specifically acknowledges that Congress has the power to lay and collect taxes, duties, excises, what have you.
Hmm.
There's 3 different words there that all have different meanings.
Oh, wow.
Duties
Now,
duties specifically have to do with imported and exported goods that coincide with an international commercial term of agreement, contract law.
right, absolutely. And when it comes to the duties, Mike, is it can you negotiate taxes?
No.
And in a
If
trade,
if I
in
could
a
negotiate tax, I'd be I wouldn't pay taxes at all.
right? Yeah, we won't even get into that conversation, but when we're talking about trade, right? And when it comes to the duties or tariffs thereof, those are negotiable, right?
Mhm.
So
100%.
by definition, they can't be a tax.
Exactly,
So
because
why are people sitting here saying that's a tax on the American people?
it's not like, it's ridiculous. It's a conflict in terms. Um, so when it comes to the contract between 2 countries or a country and a company, you're negotiating on how the contract is gonna best be applicable to you and your company. You're gonna try to, um, pay the least amount, you're gonna try to get the least amount of duty coincided with that contract. That way you can make more money.
Right. Right. And I mean, you got people out here just spewing the nonsense from the media, talking about how, oh, even the charts that Donald Trump put up, they're not real. They
That drove me
they're
nuts.
not the actual. But what I find funny about it though, Mike, is like if you actually looked at the charts themselves, because apparently they didn't. It quite clearly states, and before I even get to that, y'all have to realize these charts are being made by the Secretary of Treasury or the Treasury Department in general. Like they're not gonna sit here and just fabricate numbers. But the part is that when you take a look at this chart, it says tariff charge to the United States, and people just stop there.
Yep.
Rather than reading the rest where it says including currency manipulation and trade barriers. Because you have
Imagine
to
that.
take those into account because that is where the deficit is coming from.
Well, this is why people get screwed when it comes to taxes because they don't read. This is why people get screwed when it comes to their constitutional rights being infringed because they don't read. This is
Mhm.
why people get screwed when it comes to police officers because they don't read. They don't know their rights. They don't know anything.
Right. And I mean, I don't know how many times we have to beat this dead horse, but I mean, Donald Trump, what he's doing with the tariff situation was a master plan. And honestly, any president could have done this. That's
You
the
know,
thing. That's the kicker of all of this because we have the buying power, right? Nobody has the leverage that we have in trade negotiations. It's just Donald Trump was the only one that had the balls, I guess, to actually say, "All right, enough is enough. We're not getting screwed anymore." And
yep.
now look, we have 130 countries that are beckoning to us saying, "Hey, we need you. We want you." Because I mean, even just 3 hours ago, it was reported that the EU's retaliatory tariffs on U.S. goods worth around $21 billion. And just so people know, euro is 1.5, $1.50 to our dollar, right? So you do the math on how much dollars that is, really. But it is on hold until July 14th, which is what? 90 days.
Imagine that.
Where did that come from? And people want to say, "Oh, this is a backing down from Donald Trump." Like, no, it's not. It
You know,
it is not because they're doing what he said. He's like, "All right, sure. Y'all came to the table like I wanted to. I told you guys to come to the table, right?
exactly.
Now we're at the table. I'm going to give you a good faith gesture. I'm going to reduce that. Most of them were reduced down to 10%. There's like a couple, Vietnam and another Asian
Small countries.
country. Yeah, there we go. I think there was only like 2 to 4 that came to the big, but that was based off of that, or 0, I should say. But that's because of what they came to the table with, like Vietnam, 0 for 0, right? So it's based off of what they're offering as well. So if somebody doesn't act within good faith during these 90 days, guess what happens? They go back into place. If a
Yeah.
deal is not struck by 90 days, they go back in place until one is struck.
People are crying
Now,
about groceries going up right now. It's like, part of me hopes that groceries go up because some of y'all need to eat less.
I'm shoot. Don't even get started on that one. But this is what I don't get. So like when you take a look at the Dow today, right? It's up over 40,000. Now, yes, it's not where it was. Now this is over the last 5 days, right? The last week. And like we predicted, because everybody uses the Dow as like the key indication of the market for whatever reason. Even though there's the S&P, the Nasdaq, all that, everybody looks at the Dow. Everybody knows at least what the Dow indicates. If this is up, the stock market's up, essentially. But it's up over 40,000 again, right? It was about 43 when all of this mess started. But the thing is y'all don't understand. If it's at 40,000 now, without a single deal going into place, right? Just wait until all of those trade deals are done. We're going to skyrocket up to 50, if not 60, depending on how good these deals can get. Especially if we can get Canada, but China to a deal that is actually beneficial mutually, bro.
I think listen, you and I predicted July is going to be a monumentous, shift for the better.
Absolutely, because that's the end of the 90 days, and that's when we should start seeing a lot of these going into place, especially with the European Union. And the thing that people don't know about the EU is places like the UK, they're getting rid of all of their steel manufacturing. They were the embodiment of the Industrial Revolution, and now they have one factory, which is, funny enough, owned by China, uh, that creates steel, right? And they're on the brink of trying to figure this out or not. Now, this goes out to I think his name is News Daddy, because I don't like to steal people's content without referencing. This is the information I got from News Daddy on TikTok. That's his. I don't know his actual name. He goes by his actual name, but that's his like podcast or whatever. But he lives in the UK, so it's a valid source. And I was able to look up this information to confirm what he said was true. But the UK government's trying to figure out whether or not they can actually, like, I guess, subsidize it in a way to where he doesn't die. But at the same time, they're losing what he claimed, and I couldn't verify this, but what he claimed in his video, that it was that plant is losing 700,000 pounds per. And just so you know, like I say, pounds are about equivalent to that of the euro. So it's 700,000 times 1.5, and that's how much it is in dollars, on how much they're losing per day.
Wow.
Per day. That is insane numbers, especially from a country that's being overran by immigrants. Because, I mean, you add that to the situation, it's like, how in the world is the UK even doing anything?
They're collapsing. Just like
Easily.
people are talking, people are talking about China raising tariffs on the United States. China's economy is collapsing.
I mean, the
Like,
day that the reciprocal tariff went up to just 80% here from Donald Trump, their markets imploded, basically, to the worst levels they've ever been. And then it went up to 125, and then 140. At 125, we started hearing murmurs where the economic minister, I think is what they call him, came out and said, hey, yeah, we'll sit down with America as long as the conversations are mutual, respectful, and that we come to a mutual agreement on trade. Like, no dip, Sherlock. That's what Donald Trump asked for from the beginning.
and I know some people are interested in this, but when it comes to China come to the table for negotiation,
Mm-hmm.
one of the things to lower those tariffs is going to be an app that most of us hate if you're a constitutionalist or conservative, but a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people love. So
Absolutely. I mean, a lot of people don't understand. This is the same thing that Donald Trump did to China back in, I think it was 2019, when they struck that deal at the very end of 2019 before COVID hit, where that new trade deal, because it was huge, it was all over the news, where Xi Jinping actually came and sat down with Donald Trump to sign the deal and all this other stuff, right? Huge thing. It was going to be, he did the same exact thing to them that he's doing now to strike that deal. If it wasn't for COVID, and it wasn't for the 2020 election, we would be so far better off right now than where we were over the last 4 years. Like, he's
I'm
just
I'm
doing
I'm
what he was
happy.
planning to do.
I'm happy 2020 happened the way it did.
Honestly, I think America needed it, though.
Yeah.
Like, they honestly needed it. Like, if Donald Trump would have taken over during the one re-election, right? Sure, financially would have been fine. But 2024, what would have happened? I don't even want to imagine what would have happened in that election.
Yeah. That election sparked a movement in society
For
to
sure.
scrounge for this, scraps of truth.
Especially in the young generation. Like, we were sitting here talking about how we were losing Gen Z, right? They were just liberal as all can be, and they were just crazy, right? But the movement within the 18 to 25-year-old men during this time period was it was monumental. Like, if you look at the numbers of how many young men from the age of 25, or I'm sorry, from the ages of 18 to 25 and even up to 30 that voted for Donald Trump, it's groundbreaking
Yeah.
numbers.
Did you watch that Bill Maher video?
No.
So Bill Maher's being chastised left and right now because he had that dinner with Donald Trump.
I
Bill
didn't see
Maher is
that.
a heavy critic of Donald
Oh,
Trump, or
absolutely.
had been until he had a dinner with Trump, and he said, "I would have not have been comfortable talking to Clinton or Obama because I voted for those guys. I was so comfortable talking to Trump, and I critiqued him, and I joked with him, and I had a great time. And you know, he is nothing like in all the leftist media says. He says we needed to get rid of DEI. We needed to deport all the illegal aliens.
Mhm.
I think Bill Maher is a Trumper.
I mean, maybe not a Trumper, but
I
he
don't
he
know, man.
definitely is more in favor of him. Because
Uh,
man, it's still Bill Maher. It's still Maher. But to see,
listen,
this is the
listen.
thing about
Everybody turned on Joe Rogan for
Joe
having a
Rogan was always middle of the lane, right?
yes,
Like
but
he
he's
always
middle.
was. But Bill
But now
Maher
he
has
but now
always
he
been left.
loves Trump just as a guy, right?
Well, I mean, we
Even
see that more often than not.
but now Bill Maher is being eaten alive by the wolves.
Well, people are starting to wake up and realize like these middle of the roads are just a little to the left people are starting to wake up and realize, like, look, I don't want to sit here and have 4 years of chaos. So let's hear the man out. Let me sit down with him, hear what he has to say, heart to heart, and understand him. Oh, okay. Well, now he sounds a little bit better than what the media is portraying him as. And I was able to actually talk to him, and he's not like what the media is portraying. Oh my God, you're a Trumper. Like, stop. Like that, the left is eating the left. And I'm saying what a lot of the people in Congress, and mostly Senator Kennedy, is just let them talk
Yeah,
because they're eating themselves alive. You got people out here like Marjorie, or not, like AOC and Jasmine Crockett just being propped up as superstars and they are the dumbest people in Congress that I've seen.
there's
Like it,
there's so much stuff coming to light with the Democrat Party.
What people don't realize is that I just saw a video from last year when a gentleman, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, went before Congress and was being questioned on whether or not he saw President Biden doing any illegal acts, right? Any crimes. And he specifically said, yes, I saw the president working within the realm of a RICO case, right? Doing RICO. And for those that don't know, it's like racketeering, things like that. It's illegal, right? It's a crime. It's such a crime. It has its own fucking name, RICO. And she had the odd, like AOC is so stupid. This lady is like, RICO is not a crime. I'm like, crime is literally in the acronym, you dummy. What do you think the C stands for?
So, I don't know if you pay attention to my state, but what's coming
Go for
back
it.
up is so early in the year, every governor has to clear the books, right? As far as accounting, from financially. Katie Hobbs cannot clear the books because she somehow misplaced $390 million.
Right.
And now something else that's being brought to light that stems from her election is a $400,000 bribe.
Mm,
So there is a lot of alleged corruption being brought back up in the news sphere surrounding my governor.
right.
And I wouldn't be surprised if a resignation was.
Uh-oh. But I mean, going back to even what I was saying too, like you got governors, you got Congress people sitting out here just saying the most, like RICO. It's a part of the I call it OCA, but it's the Organized Crime Control Act back in 1970. It's literally in the name. That's what I don't understand. Like, but yet you got people out here just doing the dumbest stuff, saying the most outlandish things, and these are supposed to be our representatives, though, Mike.
Mhm.
All acting within criminal, but when is the actual accountability going to come into play? Because this is where I'm going to get real critical on somebody like Pam Bondi and Kash Patel. Like, you guys keep talking, you keep doing these damn interviews, and you say, oh, the arrests are coming. Like, I understand it takes time. Don't get me wrong. I'm not some dummy like on the right or the left that's just like, where's the action? But I mean, you guys had this information. You've known about this. You've had people personally looking into it or personally investigating it. So you know the information. Where the hell is the accountability? We're 3 months in almost now. There should be somebody, a low tier person, for God's sakes, are easy to get.
Mhm. Well, let's see. Jasmine Crockett might be coming up on arrest. Um, let's see. Who else? So the RICO case, and if anybody's having trouble understanding what a RICO case is, think back to um, Batman with Christian Bale, where they tied all of that organized crime, all those different families together under one umbrella case. That's essentially what RICO is. It ties multiple areas of criminal activity together.
Right.
And yeah, I'm paying very close attention to both sides, especially the Republicans, because I am critical of my party. Um, if we do not start seeing positive movement, I'm going to start getting pissed.
Right.
If we do not start seeing Republicans start introducing legislation that are synonymous with Trump's executive orders, I'm going to start getting pissed.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, it's like I know that somebody actually filed lawsuit to get the JFK and all those files. It's like, where the hell are those files? Where is everything that you guys promised day one? That's what's so irritating to me is that you got people out here claiming, "Oh, we're gonna get it day one for you." Like, well, we're on day 83 or something like that right now. Where the hell is it?
Yeah, still waiting on the Epstein files. Still waiting
Like, I
on the rest of the JFK files.
like I understand that the New York office FBI, there was a delay between, when Cash Patel was confirmed and when Christopher Wray removed himself. Like, there was a month and a half there. So God only knows what the hell they were doing there.
Yeah,
And the fact that, they didn't give all the documents when requested from Pam Bondi, like, we understand that. But you got them now. And you've had them for almost a month now.
and I want to know who's fired.
Right. I mean, I don't, and somebody puts in the comments, Pam Bondi is violating the EO. It does. I mean, we're coming on 90 days. They said 90 days is when it's going to be all out. But here we are, day 80, like, what is it, 83, 85, something like that. We're close, man. And we still ain't got nothing, even though they promised day one. It's one of those things, man, where you see this the society has divulged into something that is so damn disappointing. Like, I can't even put it into words how disgusting society has gotten to. And for instance, raising money for a murderer is one
That
of the
pissed,
most disgusting things that I've ever seen in my life.
that pissed me off.
I
Dude
mean,
had $1 million bond.
if you're not familiar with what we're talking about Carmelo Anthony, not the basketball player, a student in Texas, and Austin Metcalf situation up in the Dallas area, right? It's Frisco, but that's like northeast Dallas area, just for those that don't know. And it's a ritzier area. And this young man, he's 17 years old, goes to a school function, a track meet, with a weapon. Right there is it that should be the end of the conversation, right? That's a crime. That is that could be considered a felony in a lot of cases, right? But goes to a track meet, sits in an area not designated to him and his team, right? Designated to his rival team, because these schools are rivals for those that don't know. And when asked, now I was just listening to a testimony from, or not a testimony, from somebody depicting the interviews of some of these individuals, right?
Yeah, one of the interviews that
And the
was
most
released.
credible one that they claimed says that he was asked to move by several people. That's when he stood up, reached in his bag, and he said, "Touch me and see what happens." Then the report says, then Austin Metcalf touched him, like being sarcastic, right? not in a vicious way. And then he said, punch me and see what happens. So twice he gives what's deemed a verbal assault per this report that's being used in court, right? And from that point, I don't know if Austin just got mad or whatnot, but he pushed him, I guess, per this report. So he did actually push him. That has been confirmed by this report. I don't know if it's actually confirmed that it actually happened, but per this credible report, he pushed him. And then that's when he took out the knife and stabbed Austin once right in the chest that actually punctured in his heart, basically instantly killing him, right? Austin is no longer with us. He runs and flees from the scene and is picked up by the police, trying to claim self-defense in a situation where he was the initial aggressor. And I keep explaining this to people. I've been in this situation. I regret it to this day. I have never announced this before, but I'm going to say it here. In the state of Michigan, they have eerily similar self-defense and castle doctrine laws, right? I know this case firsthand. Thank God, in my case, I wasn't stupid enough to actually use it like this kid. So I've been to court. I've seen what he's about to see. And they do not give a damn what Austin does. They don't care. Why? Because he was in the act of a crime in an area that it was deemed a felony, and he's the initial aggressor because he was in an area that was not designated to him. That's 3 strikes. That's all they're going to look at. Now, yeah, the defense is going to try and argue self-defense because Austin touched him, blah, blah, blah. Does not matter legally. The instructions that are going to be given to the jury, because this is going to be a jury trial, is the fact that they are going to look at the law and see, first of all, he was the initial aggressor because he was with a knife on property of a school, illegal, right? He instigated it by saying, oh, touch me and see what happens, even though nobody was threatening him, right? That's a verbal assault. That's 2. And 3, he was in an area designated that was not designated to him, okay? It doesn't matter what you claim, because even if you were to claim self-defense, per the law statute here in the state of Texas, in Article 9 of that statute, it says specifically that any self-defense claim, you have a proportionate response is validated. Stabbing and killing somebody for pushing you is not proportionate in any shape, form here in the state of Texas.
We don't even have to go that far. But the part that really disgusted me is somehow, some way, his $1 million bond got reduced to $250,000.
Even though because in that arraignment where he was released off, it was lowered. Even though they still are sticking him with first-degree murder. You have somebody out here being charged with first-degree murder, walking the streets. In what world does that make sense?
Now,
I don't know. Has that ever happened before?
now
I mean,
I don't know.
first-degree
I don't know how
premeditated.
Texas handles their bonds, but I think you only have to pay 10% of the bond.
Yeah. But I mean, he had the money to, like I said, going back to what I initially said, the freaking GoFundMe released it and sent it all back, but they put it on another platform that's kept it, and it's raised like $300,000
For a murderer.
for a murderer. What? And then you see him walking out of the district court. Like, you are a 17-year-old. You know damn well you are not allowed to take a knife to school or any school function. Now, here in the state of Texas, it is legal for a minor to carry a pocket knife that is less than 5.5 inches. Now, that's another key component that I want to know whether or not, if it was 5.5 or longer, right? Because that will absolutely be another charge on him. But you're 17. You're a few months out from being a legal adult. There's no way you don't know what you were doing was wrong. And you should be
100%.
charged as an adult.
100%. And, it's alleged that he's a good student and he's intelligent. So
So he's not stupid.
he's not stupid. But regardless if the knife is under 5 or over 5, he violated 46.33.
Right. There was another part that I had mentioned, part 9. That was
Yep.
that has to do with the self-defense. Like, it wasn't a proportionate response.
Or is it 46.30? That's the statute governing weapons on school premises or school functions.
Right. And yet here we are with people defending this man. This I'm gonna call him a man. He's 17, man. Like,
He made a
legally, he
he made
doesn't
a
have to
grown man
listen to his
decision.
parents.
He made a grown man decision.
Absolutely. Luckily, me, I admitted to it, and I was only like 13, 14 years old when it happened, so I was still stupid. But at the same time, I can sit here and say, a lot of people are like, oh, he was in fear of his life. No, he wasn't. He was trying to act like a badass and got in over his head. That's what happened.
He was antagonistic. He walked into an area that he wasn't supposed to, possibly not even supposed to be there at all.
Right?
So
Yeah, because there are
there's a
some
lot of
reports saying that he
information.
may or may not have been suspended at the time, but that's just, we don't
That's
know if
neither
that's
here
true or
nor
not, because
there.
the information hasn't been released by the school itself yet. But
And best believe in probably, we'll say, 3-4 months time when this is all done,
hmm, yeah, it'll probably
we're
be
gonna
longer than that. It's a murder trial.
we're gonna break down this case.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm gonna sit there and I'm gonna read every portion of it saying, oh, he was where he wasn't supposed to be. He had what he was not supposed to have, and he had a verbal assault to begin the altercation. Boom, 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 and that's what's going to convict him. Now, whether or not he gets life or he gets the death penalty, who knows? But that man is going to jail for a very long time,
Yep.
regardless. And I'm going to say, I told you so when it happens. Because Texas don't play that game. And people want to make this into a race thing. And it's just like, stop it.
It's not.
Because I'm gonna tell you right now, if the roles were reversed, or if it was 2 black kids or 2 white kids, and you hear it all the time, you would never know about this, right?
If it
But
was
if
two,
it was a white kid that killed the black kid, oh my god, it'd be national news the day
if
of.
if it was a white kid killing a black kid, it'd be national news. If it's a black kid killing a white kid, everybody's on the side of the black kid saying it's self defense no matter what. If it was a
Right.
white kid killing a white kid, no news. Black kid killing a black kid, no news.
No, because that happens every weekend in Chicago. Nobody gives a shit.
No. Um this grandstanding, this false anger with, people are just illiterate. They're stupid. They're People need to read.
And people, their defense is like, well, he's gonna learn. People got to learn to keep their hands to themselves. He initiated the initial altercation to begin with, guys. That's what you're completely missing. Regardless of whether or not he wants to act like a badass and be like, "Oh, don't touch me," it doesn't. You shouldn't have been there. You shouldn't have had what you had. You shouldn't have said what you said.
So, to get back on track a little bit, so that gentleman is going to jail
Yep.
eventually. Mr. Garcia is going to remain in El Salvador.
Right.
And for those that don't know, because I called it, 𝗪𝗏𝗧𝗏 will be deported
Yes, sir.
because DHS has full authority when it comes to illegal aliens, when it comes to visa holders and green card holders. Per 𝗪𝗏𝗧𝗏 v. Mayorkas.
Yes, sir.
Brought to you by Ketanji Brown Jackson, the one that could not define a woman.
You gotta love that, right?
9-0 decision. And
I mean, we keep sitting up here. I can't wait for the next couple months to come around, right? Because like it's gonna be so nice to see and be able to say, "I told you so." Because you know me, I'm a petty bitch. I don't care. I'm gonna sit here and I'll be like, "I told you so." That's my wife. I'm petty. I don't care.
yeah, we're just gonna sit back and just be
Especially
like,
when it comes to this whole trade situation. Man.
oh,
I
July?
mean,
We said July before that 90-day thing even started, before the tariffs even started. We said July is gonna be the shift.
Yeah, and somebody in the comments, absolutely. And I think this is actually worthy enough to bring up because I was a defender of this man before. Somebody was talking
LJ.
about snakes in the grass. Oh, it's LJ. And he said, like Rand Paul. Rand Paul is one of those individuals that has been outside his mind for the last week.
I don't know what happened.
Somebody got to him. Somebody had to have. Because I mean, this is an educated man. He is a brain surgeon, guys. This man is a brain surgeon by trade. And he's out here saying stupid shit like tariffs or taxes on the American people. What? Like, who paid you off, man?
I could do a pretty good impression. Tariffs or taxes on the American people. He sounds like Clear Eyes.
And this was a champion of the
Basically,
agenda
Doge.
that we wanted. And then
Yeah, he's bringing up
I don't
like he was bringing up all types of fraud, and I was like, yes. And he was bringing up, the Wuhan lab, and I was
right.
like, yes. And he was
This was
bringing
the
up
champion.
COVID.
He was the champion going. He still wants to go after Fauci. Now I don't know. I don't trust him. I don't know if he's really going to do it or if he's just going to grandstand like he and then you think back of when he was grilling Fauci. It's like, were you just putting on a show?
Are you? Is he the next Lindsey Graham?
He's starting to look like it, which is sad because his dad was a boss. I mean, that I don't get it.
Like we told you, we'll call out every side. Doesn't matter if you're Democrat, Independent, or Republican. We don't like snakes in the grass. We don't like people that flip flop.
Right.
We
Now
pick,
and there is one thing that I'll call out, right? So I don't know if this is true or not. Okay, that's being reported by one of the sources that we really like, Mike, and you probably saw it. It's saying that Donald Trump says he is open to deporting U.S. citizens who commit violent crimes. I do not. If that is true, I do not agree with that, and I would vehemently disagree with Donald Trump on that because they are U.S. citizens, regardless of whether or not they're a piece of shit, that are criminals. Where are you deporting them to? Would be my first question.
well, one, what's the source?
I know it's leading. That's
Really?
where I saw it. I don't know. That's why I said I don't know if how credible that information is, but if it is, it will be one thing that I will absolutely go after Donald Trump about.
Yeah, it's stupid.
Like, you can't. Where are you deporting them to?
You deporting those nasty colonizers back to their homes.
The purpose of deporting is to return somebody that doesn't belong here to their original country. This is their original country. Now, I'm not going to go too far into it, but that will be something that I will absolutely grill Trump on if that is something that he's really pushing.
I don't think so. I think it was probably something that was misconstrued in that
Could be.
that
Probably.
interview from today.
Mhm.
But yeah, big things happening in tariffs, big things happen in immigration. Um, I don't like the next big thing for immigration is it's going to be the birthright citizenship.
I'm
Mark my
wondering when
words.
that's going to come.
Mark my words. It's going to get ruled the way I saw it. It's going to get ruled as constitutional.
It'll probably be more like a 5-4 decision because I could see either Amy
Amy,
Coney Barrett or Chief Roberts siding the other way, but it'll only be one or the other
yeah,
because they got to make it look like it's dramatic.
Amy is.
I don't know what the hell's up with her, but even Roberts, dude, Roberts, something because you can see some of these 5-4 decisions. There's only one with Amy Coney Barrett. There's one. The
I
other,
like I
the
like
other
the
three,
I like the tried and true Clarence Thomas.
yeah,
Like, dude is knowing like everything that he went through, his struggles, and everything that he had to jump past and to make it to where he was. how he was grilled in his confirmation,
Mm-hmm.
like ridiculed and um, defamed and harassed
Yep.
and a just plethora of racist remarks.
Absolutely. I mean, the man was threatened at his house. His house was doxxed. Even after, like, when the whole, when he was already justice and the whole Roe v. Wade situation happened, right?
Oh yeah.
Like, there was people going to his home. Like, what are we doing?
Oh, speaking of that, there have been several assassination threats. There was that one dude that there's a gentleman, Momper, out of Butler, Pennsylvania, I believe.
Another one in Butler, huh?
Y- Yeah,
Wonder what's going on in Butler. Maybe it's not so much a conspiracy anymore with that company and everything.
mm,
You know, you know. But
but
yeah,
yeah,
I know that there's the other gentleman, right? There was a gentleman that was telling people to unalive. Well, shoot, this isn't TikTok, huh? Murder ICE agents.
he's
Eh,
in jail.
yeah, yeah. And what's funnier is that it got so much notoriety that even Christy Nome herself commented on it. I'm like, yo, that's why I say don't be stupid out here on these TikTok streets or the social media streets in general, right? Saying stupid stuff like shoot ICE agents. Like
The
that's a federal
internet is
agent, you fool.
the internet is forever, and
No matter if
regardless
you
of what
delete
you
it.
think, the government knows everything you're doing online.
Right?
Like, you worried about Elon Musk having your social security number, and government's already got it. Government's got your IP address. Government works through your VPN.
hmm And just one last note: we are for anybody that tunes in on Saturdays with Radio to Bang, where the legislative allowance on. We are actually trying to work out a new day and time for that. Saturdays at noon aren't really working for either one of us at this point, so just stay tuned for that. I'll probably find out more information on Thursday. This week we'll probably still have it on Saturday, but the following week may change. So if you do tune into that, we thank you guys. Follow Radio to Bang on that, but also follow us on all platforms. But thank you guys for tuning in. Mike, take us home.
Make sure you guys follow us on TikTok. That's where majority of our content is right now. We try to post what we can on YouTube. But thank you all for tuning into the greatest podcast in America, where we bring you the truth between the lies. Be sure to follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Rumble, and Twitch and Patreon. And have a blessed day.